So hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Clashing with DJ. So today guys, I have an Indian pro for you and he's just an absolute beast at this game. I'll show you his profile. He's a free to play player, that's the main point about him. And here is his profile. He's 5,557th in the world currently. Highest trophies are 5527. Oh, I guess yeah, 5527. Max wins are 19, and he plays this deck. He says that this deck is currently very solid in the meta because there are Golem double prints running, there are Giant double prints running everywhere, there are Hog Mortar decks running. So yeah, I would say he says that this deck is really good at countering them, and as well as in the global, but he also has a rank in local as well. I'll show it to you guys. Yeah, here I go. So sorry. So I'll show you in the local. So he told me that with this deck, what you just need to do is know what your opponent is playing, and once you get to know it, that what your opponent is playing, then you can play it pretty well and better than him. So yeah, he might be somewhere here or there. I haven't seen him. Yeah, so he's here. He's at 39th at local. So yeah, we'll share some of his replays. He's shared a lot of replays. This one, like, we'll start with a kind of same deck that he was playing. So he was playing against a giant deck only. So yeah, he said that when we are going against the same deck, we need to take the advantage and we need to think upon our exile as well. So as you can see, he started off with Fire Spirits on the bridge, take some chip damage, but the opponent zapped it. Like, if they're going against the same deck, here you can see that the real skill comes into play, and here he places his collector right down there to get a little bit of exile advantage, and the tower will kill the bats, and the opponent is going for the double lane push, and with this deck you can easily go with a double lane push. And now I guess in the middle of the game he also lost his connection, but then also his both towers are below half HP, I guess. And now from now, let's see how will he come back. Like, both of the opponent towers are above 3000 HP, and it's really hard in such a situation to come back when both of them are playing a pretty kind of same deck. And he places his giant in the back, and he's keeping on his three muskets to split them. And yes, as he knows that the opponent is not playing any kind of dispel, he places all three muskets in the same lane. This is a peak thing that he does. Like, he knows that the opponent is not playing any big spell, so I can place all three of my muskets in the same lane and take the advantage of it. And there comes the skill into play. He knows that what his opponent is playing, and yeah, as per it, he took his right tower, but he's now also not in a pretty nice situation, I would say, because he needs to defend both of his towers. One is at 200 HP and the other is at 1800. So yeah, he places his barbarians to stop the two musketeers and the goblin gang. And he stops it pretty well. I think he'll pump up right now, because as they go into double exile, pumping up becomes a little more easier, but it also becomes a little more riskier, as the opponent can punish you whenever he wants to. But the opponent also pumps as well. Even guys, if you can see, the opponent is playing more higher upgraded cards than him. He's playing level 11 giant, level 11 pump, whereas he's playing level 10 giant, level 10 pump. As you can see, he again places his three muskets in the same lane, and I guess he also places his barbarians in the same lane so that he can protect those three musketeers, and the opponent places his minion hoarder to counter it, and he very smartly he places his minion hoarder on the three muskets so that he can counter them. And as you can see, he again cycle backs to a giant. Like, this is the pro play that you have to make. He cycles back to a giant. He's just pressurizing his opponent. He forces him to use his battle ram. The opponent uses his three musket for defense, and yeah, he didn't thought of defending it. He just went all in and he took it all. That was the pro play of this game, like playing all three muskets in the same lane. That's really, we have to think about it before making such plays. So one is this one. The other one I will show you is against Hog Mortar. He said that even this deck is running around a lot and it's pretty hard to counter it. So he requested me to show this one as well. And as I will show you this replay, even this replay, he said we can also say that it is one of the hardest matchups because he's playing a pretty defensive Hog Rider deck and with a better aggressive card. So as he plays his Hog and Ice Spirit in the front, he knows what the opponent is playing. He knows he's having Zap or Log. That's why he plays his Goblin Gang, so the Goblins won't die to the Zap. So the opponent logs his Goblin Gang, and now he has set it up with a pump. He have taken 1300 damage, and I guess what he said was, like, with this deck you don't need to worry upon taking damage, like, because it's a pretty solid deck at attack. So he counters his Goblin Gang with his Fire Spirits, and as you know, he places his Minion Hoarder, he places his Giant at the back, and now he knows that, he told me that, now I know that he's not playing any kind of spell, so I can place my 3 Muskets in the same lane. So he'll repeat the same thing. He goes ahead and puts all those bad boy 3 Muskets in the same lane. As you can see, he places them, and now it's a monstrous push for the opponent to deal with. He knows that he's playing Zap and Log, that's it. So the opponent places his Mortar and Goblin Gang to counter them. But yeah, the tower is almost dead, and he's taken the first tower. Even I asked him that when one tower is down, what should you do with this deck? Like, you should go for the second tower, or the crown, or the 3 crown. So he said me that I never see that I'm going for 3 crown or second tower. I just see that the opponent, it depends on the circumstances and situations, and if you go for the 2 crown, the 3 crown sometimes happens itself. And as you can see that he knew that when the opponent is playing Hog, Ice Spirit, he's also going to play the Log. So he plays his Goblin Gang towards a little more right, so he can ignore the Log. So he played his Giant at the back in search of big push. The opponent plays his Mortar, and he thinks that he'll counter the 3 Muskets right now. But now he places his Barbarians right upon the Mortar to slow down that Mortar so that he can go with his Minion Hoarder. He goes again with the Giant Minion Hoarder combo. He places his Goblin Gang in the pocket. The opponent logs it, but he's 1 tower up, and he's also attacking on the second tower, and he splits his 3 Musketeers this time because he also needs to defend against that Hog. He knows that the opponent is not playing any spell, so he thought he can defend it as well. But the 2 Muskets in the other lane going, the opponent also needs to take care of it. He places his Giant and Barbs in the middle, and as you know, he told me that, see, I was not trying for 3 crowning him or damaging his crowned King Tower anyways in this game, but as you can see, he told me that it happened, like that Musketeer connected and it was below 1000 range of his King Tower. And I was just like, yeah, that's true. You never try to go like, I'll go 3 crown now, I'll kill it with 3 crowning him. He just said that it depends upon the situation. As you can see, it's 758, but he said that it's easier to take the second tower because we can just play our 3 Muskets in the center. Yeah, so that's the key about it. We just need to go a little more aggressive, take a little bit of damage, and then the game is ours, because this deck is really good at double exile if your opponent is playing 1 or 2 spells. Even against 3 spells, this deck works really well. So yeah, the next one I will show you is against Giant Double Prince. Against this deck. This deck is literally running everywhere, and like, I asked him for such a replay and he provided it. He's a great guy, I would say. Like, whatever I asked him, he cooperated everything with me. Like, he allowed me for all his replays. He also gave me voice coaching, but somehow he did not want it to come on voice. So that's why he said that you can do it, you can commentate. So yeah, in this matchup, he said, like, this deck is just everywhere. Giant, Double Prince, Poison, and I'm also showing this matchup just because this deck is running everywhere. We will find it in challenges, we'll find it in ladder, we'll find it in tournaments. Even I see this, the most deck that I see in 2v2s is this deck. As just saying the truth, man. And the opponent goes pretty aggressive after seeing the pump because he's playing aggressive Giant Double Prince deck. He will get some damage, but as Sintu told that taking damage is not the point. After taking damage, you need to build up a monstrous push so that your opponent is dead. And here he sees that the opponent uses his poison on the pump, so now he can go ahead, place his Giant at the back, punish with the 3 Muskets, with the Minion Hoarder, with Barbarians. It's a kind of poison and fireball bait deck as well. Like, you have 3 things to bait it, 4 things I would say. Minion Hoarder, Barbarians, Three Muskets, and what was the other one? Pump, the other. So here he places his Three Muskets again in the same lane. As he knows he uses his pump, he tells it, like, as and when you see he uses any of his spell, and you just see that he's not playing any spell, you know that, place your Three Muskets in the same lane, because they're just monstrous when all three of them are in the same lane. Just destroy the tower. You can see that he took his tower, he took around 2000 damage, and then also first in the game he took his tower against that giant double prince deck. So the opponent is really low on exile. I would say he's overcommitting a lot. The opponent is just overcommitting a lot, and now he knows that he have used this poison. He's going with the giant minion hoarder combo, and now the opponent just has Goblin Gang to stop his minion hoarder, and the bats are next in cycle. But he again places his Goblin Gang in the middle so that he can avoid those bats and the Goblin Gang. And yes, I guess this tower is done as well. So you can see that as and when, the main thing with this deck, it's not that hard to play. It does not require a super high amount of skill. You just need to know when your opponent uses his poison or which spell is your opponent playing. So yeah, he'll 3 crown him, I guess. And another, this deck is also really good for 3 crowns if you want, but as he said, he never goes for 3 crown. They happen themselves at times. So the last one I would show you, the last replay I would show you is against P.E.K.K.A, because P.E.K.K.A is always a threat for Giant, and he was playing P.E.K.K.A 3 Muskets, his opponent as well, with Band-Aid at Battle Ram, and also with a pump, but both weren't playing any spell. But in this also you can see he 3 crowned against a P.E.K.K.A. Man, how can you 3 crown against a P.E.K.K.A when you're playing a Giant? That requires skill, I would say. Yeah, that requires skill. That really requires skill. So yeah, Sintu is at the bottom and his opponent is at the top. As you can see, he starts up with a pump. I even asked him that if you don't have pump in cycle, what would you do? He said that never place your minion hoarder, your 3 muskets too early or in the starting of the game, or the opponent may know about you and your strategies and your plays. So he said that use them a little late, a little near to that double exile time, so that you can take advantage of your opponent's deck and the mine. So both of them pumped up. Like, as you can see that his cards are not that super upgraded. Yeah, some of them are maxed. I would say not. They are upgraded. They are really upgraded as per ladder. But all his deck is not really fully upgraded. I would say his collector is level 10, his giant is level 10, and I have to see rest are, I think, are maxed. But yeah, these two are level 10, and he sometimes goes against all maxed out players. And as you can see, again, he says that you need to know how to take damage. Even if your tower goes, no problem, let the double exile come. It's the time when our deck shines and just stops every deck in the world. And you can see that he goes in, he waits till double exile, he goes in with the giant, and like the supporting troops literally killed that P.E.K.K.A, like just destroyed that P.E.K.K.A, and both are pumping up. Both are really good at pumping up. So as you know, you get the exile advantage. You can take towers easily with this deck, and you can see that there was no scope looking. His tower was almost at full, but then also Sintu took his tower because he told that you need to know how to take damage and come in the exile advantage. That's the key with this deck. So he places his giant in the back. The opponent is also pretty clever. He knows that now he's not having any of his he's not playing any spells, so he can cycle all 3 muskets in the same lane. And you will also see him making this move a lot of times. Like when he places his 3 muskets, he places those barbarians to support those 3 muskets, so that the opponent can't damage those 3 muskets. He fully tries to protect those 3 muskets, and again he cycles back to giant because he needs to protect his 3 muskets. Because I told you, if all 3 of them are in the same lane, they can be devastating. They can literally destroy you. And now you can see they're not 3, now they are 6. The cycling he does, he plays it in a great way. Like against P.E.K.K.A, it's hard to go, it's hard to win, but you guys just can see how well is he playing. Now I'll do it on X4, and yeah, he 3 crowns it again. Flawless. I would just say flawless gameplay.